Have you ever felt an awkwardness or hesitation when you have to talk with somebody new? Maybe address a group of people or say hello to somebody you're meeting for the first time, or maybe give a presentation in an office or someplace. What if I tell you this awkwardness, this hesitation can be flipped into confidence? Now, I have 10 amazing tips for you, things that can really help you. And today, instead of going from number 1 to number 10, we're going to be going from 10 to 1. Okay, so this is a countdown. The most important tip lies towards the end. So let's start with number 10 on the list. Flip the script on negativity. Replace the self-critical thoughts with constructive ones. Instead of saying, oh, I'm so awkward, how about you tell yourself, oh, I'm learning. Oh, they're going to make fun of me. How about you tell yourself, I'm going to do better this time and I'm going to improve every single time. It's a lot of your game with your brain, how you play with your thoughts, how you turn them around, how you try and become a better person by just working on your mind first. Charity begins at home, right? So just start by working on your mind, on your brain. Let's come to point number 9. Grow your funny bone. By growing your funny bone, I mean that you must work upon building your sense of humor. Everybody likes an entertaining person. I know this is something that comes from within us. It's natural. It is not something that you can impose on yourself, but it can grow with effort. Maybe cracking a few jokes on yourself, they can never harm anyone, right? You're cracking jokes on yourself. How about if you're not feeling very comfortable in the dress that you're wearing? How about you crack a little joke on your dress? Oh, I think I could not have chosen anything better to wear today. I feel so great in this. Passing a sarcastic comment on yourself. Please don't comment on others. Don't do it that way. It can totally backfire if you do that. A lot of stressful scenarios, stressful situations can be diffused with a bit of humor. Now let's move to point number 8. Turn your ears into radar. What I mean is that be a more active listener. So instead of focusing on what the other person is saying at the moment, we are more focused on our own thoughts and we are thinking about constructing answers in our head as to what I'm going to be saying next once he or she finishes. How about you genuinely take interest in what that person is talking about? If you feel that coming up with something of your own is going to take time or is not going to be good enough, or maybe you're a little confused as to what you should be saying next, the best way to handle this is come up with a nice question, something small, whatever they're talking about, bring a little detail out of it and construct it into a question and ask it back to them. It is going to make them feel more valued. They will be sure that you're listening to them, because these days, making somebody hear you, making somebody listen to you is a very big task. When you feel that the other person is listening to you, not with the intent of hurting you or judging you, you'll be more comfortable in your skin talking to that person. And overall, the stress of starting a conversation and making it happening and fun is going to be relieved on you. Let's move to point number 7. Prepare talking cues. By talking cues, I mean prepare some talking points like stories or something that can be fun that you can share with somebody when you're about to open up to them and when you're talking to them for the first time. You can prepare the stories in your head. Just make sure that you don't overdo it. It should not look like you've prepared the script. For example, if I'm going to meet a bunch of my sister's friends, there could be a few things, maybe a few habits that my sister used to have when she was younger. There could be a few things that you could have prepared in your head, that these are 2 or 3 things that they are going to enjoy, they'll be interested in. Let's move to next point, point number 6. Input micro steps. You start by taking small baby steps. Baby step would be maybe talking to the cashiers in bank, or maybe stewards in the restaurants, the people who wait on you, the wait staff of the restaurant, maybe people in the elevator. When you're in the elevator, you can lift. Yeah, so when you're in the lift, you have a few people with you standing there. You could ask them something, maybe like, oh, it's very hot today, or oh, you have this bag in your hand, did you go shopping? Something like this. See, suddenly day 1 we are very awkward and day 2 we are absolutely open and not shy at all. Cannot happen. Obviously, the transition is slow. It will take you time. But if you do not try at all, it will take you forever to get through. So don't do that. Start with small steps, something that is easier to handle at your heart's level. Okay, let's move to point number 5. Upgrade your non-verbal charisma. Non-verbal charisma is your body language. How you stand, how you sit, your hand movements. Stand tall, okay, upright. Keep your shoulders straight. Don't be too fidgety. Don't be too awkward in your body language. Maintain a little bit of charisma. Watch out in the beginning. Later on, it will be natural. It will come naturally to you. It will be much easier for you. Okay. Carry a little bit of smile. Okay. Just a little genuine smile that should not look forced. All right. Let's move to point number 4. Be a tortoise. Yeah. Tortoise, not tortoise. Be a tortoise because when you're nervous, you have a habit, most people do, that they tend to speak faster. And words come out all jumbled up. Make sure that there is confidence oozing from you. And how do you make sure of that? You make sure of that by being more articulate. Words spaced out carefully. Okay, just the way I just said the sentence, spaced out carefully. Every word given proper respect. Every word given proper attention to. When you try and be fast, what you're doing is subconsciously you're trying to hide your errors, because when you're fast, some people might not notice a few errors you're making on the way. That's what you feel. But most of the times what will happen is that you will make more errors. Let's move to point number 3. Point number 3 is replay the situation. A conversation has happened. You probably don't feel very well about it. You feel you messed up or you are not so good. Now, what you can do, instead of sulking about it, instead of feeling miserable about it and cursing yourself, how about you replay the situation in your head? What went wrong? Try and find out those loopholes. Try and find out and locate those errors in your speech and correct them the next time. So instead of focusing on a lot of things that you can regret about, how about you take it as an opportunity? They might repeat in the next 1 or 2 times, but when you're mindful and you're continuing to be mindful, these mistakes are automatically gonna come down. Let's move to point number 2. Positive visualization. I do that so many times with myself. Whenever there is a scenario where I have to perform and I have to present myself or make people happy with my performance, I tend to visualize it in a very private environment when I'm sitting all by myself, nobody in the room, and I would play that scenario in my head, how things would go. So just a little visualization, how I'm gonna stand, how I'm gonna conduct myself, how I'm gonna be with other people. Just, visualize those things in your head. And when the situation so arises, it's going to be so much easier for you because you're already prepared for it. Now let's come to point number 1, the last one on the list and the best one on the list. Awareness of your awkwardness. When you're more aware of something that you usually do in a certain scenario, you know what to expect. If I'm aware that this is how A, B, C, D, this is how I feel when I am in a group of new people. And this is something that I will expect from myself. So when I'm more prepared, when I know this is how I usually behave, I am going to be at least a bit better because I have already worked on it. I've already put effort into it. Now I'm aware that something is happening to me. Okay, I knew this was going to happen to me. When something comes as a surprise, you are less prepared. You do not know what to do in that scenario. But when you are more prepared, it's easier for you to handle. It's much easier for you to react or respond in the correct way. If I were to give you an example, if suppose somebody is gonna meet their partner's parents and they're gonna meet them for the first time, and now they're aware that it's gonna be a hell of an uncomfortable scenario where that person is going to be shy, probably miserable, probably scared of being judged, God knows what questions are going to be asked, and all of that discomfort put into one moment of his life. Okay. Now, since you're aware that all of these 3 or 4 things are going to happen, and you are aware that this is how your heart is going to behave, and this is how your mind is going to behave, and these are going to be the thoughts, when you already play that scenario in your head for future, when that thing actually happens, you're more prepared. You have a better understanding of your emotions. And when you have a better understanding, you tend to behave better. This is where the role of training comes in. When you're trained to handle something, you'll be handling it better. In most circumstances, when you are in an aeroplane and there's turbulence, hell of a turbulence. I don't know if you've experienced that. I have. It's very uncomfortable. But anyway, if something like this happens, air hostess are the people who are most composed, the most calm. Literally, I once saw an air hostess who actually, there was such a huge turbulence in the plane and very few people in the plane. I was flying to Lucknow, I remember. She literally fell to the other side and she had to hold the, those compartments on the top, and she had to take hold of that and get stabilized. And I was looking at her and I cannot tell you how scared I was in that moment. And then quickly in a moment, she picked herself up and she was like, "Yes, ma'am, how can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh, help yourself, darling." I'm okay. So I can tell you things like these can happen, but since they are better trained over it, she handled herself with such grace, I cannot tell you. I was shocked. I was amazed to see her confidence. And it actually gave me a lot of peace. I was like, "Theek hai, if she's asking me if I am okay, despite the fact that she just fell, I'm sure I'm in no danger and I will land safely." So that's how it happened. I did land safely. Remember, confidence takes time to build, and we're together trying to learn it. Okay? So I'll meet you again in the next video coming very soon. Make a point that next time you feel awkward or nervous in a scenario, go ahead and talk, face that misery, fight that misery, and you'll come out much better than you are today. That's all about it. Thank you very much. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.